Hi, Maddi. How are you?
Hello, honey. I am grand. How are you?
I'm good. So, today I
hmm
thought we would talk about quite an interesting topic. I know you have quite a lot to say about this, which is copycats, people
Oh, Lord.
copying you.
Yeah. This to me is like your unpaid therapist topic. It makes me go,
Yes.
ah, wince.
You're
Yeah.
like, yeah, if you're watching on you, go watch on YouTube and watch Maddie
Grimacing.
cringe,
Yeah.
stroke, feel angry. And so how is this showing up for you in your business? Like, how
hmm
are you seeing this?
Yeah.
Ha-
So
Yeah.
I see it kind of externally in my Facebook group where all of the things are seen. So I've seen it ranging from like a kind of lower level where maybe someone's copied someone else's like packages or the name of how, like gold, silver, bronze, but a different name. Maybe they've copied price lists.
People feel really upset and actually scared
Yeah.
because, say, someone's opened up down the road and
hmm
nicked their branding,
Yeah.
and how they actually feel is scared. They're
Yeah.
angry, but it makes them feel scared. It's worrying. You
Yeah.
just think, what's going to happen? And
hmm
so I see people copying, price lists, branding, um, how they've decorated their space,
Yeah. Like the style
all
stuff.
that, isn't
Yeah.
it? They've opened up
Yeah.
down the road and got the same wallpaper.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think it's common in our industry.
Yeah.
I think it's
And
common.
what about you personally? Have you experienced this like yourself?
I don't think I mean, I'm waiting. I'm literally waiting for it. I've not
Yeah.
experienced it in my business, not in any big way at all.
Mhm.
But I've experienced it a lot in my personal life. Believe it or not, people copy my clothes a lot and stuff like that. Like, literally since I was a teenager, I've had friends who've started dressing like me and
Oh,
stuff
it's
like
weird.
that. And I don't
Yeah.
love it. I mean, I
Yeah.
feel really like, I don't know. It makes me feel icky. But
Yeah.
in my business, I've not noticed it yet. But it's so interesting. People sometimes say to me, "I think this person's going to start copying you. Keep your eyes out."
Yeah.
So I
And I
get
think,
warned that people, yeah,
yeah, there's definitely people that I've seen where I think, oh, this is veering into Haley territory where it's a bit like, let's keep an eye and see how this pans out. Nothing like full blown, but there's
yes,
definitely like we're treading into that, I think.
yeah. And
For
I
you.
think what
Yeah.
I do is new,
hmm
like genuinely new in
Yeah.
the industry, that real crossover of psychotherapy and hairdressing. And,
Yeah.
I think it is pretty new. But there's going to be more people who are going to start talking about mental health. And so I
Yeah.
think it's fine, isn't it? There's room for everyone. And I'd love more people to be talking about mental health. It's when they start using your turn of phrase, isn't it?
This
And
is
your
it. Yeah.
metaphors and all of
Yeah.
that stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. What about you, Maddie?
So
How's that? Yeah, I feel like this happens to you a lot. And so tell us about your experience with
yeah.
copycats.
So in personal life, I've had someone copy my tattoos, which is really weird. But
There's
also
no
just
going
like
back.
not good versions. I had someone who asked my tattoo artist to literally took a picture of my tattoo to my artist and said, "Would you do this?" And he was like, "Well,
And where did
no,
they
that was
get
it.
it from? Like Facebook?
Just she worked with me, so she worked in an office with me. Never spoke to me, and then would just like crop up with these tattoos, and people would tell me like at like the coffee machine, they'd be like, "Oh, have you seen so and so?" So if I remember this right, she took it
Oh,
to my artist, and he was like, "Well, no, this was like a custom piece, but I can do something different, and this is the price." And she didn't want to pay, so she went somewhere cheaper, but got like the same, but not as good. Um, that's a little bit strange. And the same like
yeah,
sort of
it's odd.
clothes. I think, yeah, no one wants to look like an adult twin, like dressed the same as someone else. So that's just a bit
No,
strange, like you
you
say,
look like
because
you're
you
in a
think,
girl band. I always say that. I feel
yeah,
like
yeah,
I don't want to look like I'm in a girl band, you know?
yeah. Do you know you might like accidentally twin with your mates? There was a day that we all came out in pleather leggings and like band shirts, and I was like, this is very girl band. But like we have like similar sorts of styles, but yeah, I mean, in business, I have had my salon homepage copy and pasted, like literally copy and pasted. And I fell upon this page. I thought, oh, that really sounds like me. And then I looked at mine, which I hadn't obviously written or edited for ages. It was identical. I've
No.
had someone copy and paste my price list for extensions and knock a fiver off everything, like word for word, how they describe the methods. And it was someone local as well. So there's that whole thing of the worry of like clients might go to them or see them and go, oh well, Les is a little bit cheaper.
Yeah.
But interestingly, I spoke about it in my salon, and I was talking to one of my clients, and she was like, Maddi, it could be 50 quid less. Like no one's going to go for a fiver. I was like, that's nice and reassuring.
It's neither in or there, maybe. Yeah.
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 I
It is
had
funny how it makes you feel scared, though, doesn't it? That's what I notice
Yeah,
when
it's
people
like the
talk about
initial
it.
feeling,
There's
isn't
a
it?
worry.
There's like a sort of oof kind of initial feeling. I had
Hmm.
my price and masterclass copied, I think after I'd done it 2 times or 3 times, and
Mm.
I got tipped off for that by an absolute stranger who. This is what's really lovely in this whole thing of copycats is that I get told I don't tend to find them, people tell me. And I
Yeah.
think when you've got really lovely, loyal clients, especially who, followed you, they're like OGs, they know all of your kind of phrases and how you word things and how you teach things. And I just got
Hmm.
this message being like, oh, you don't know me, but have you licensed your webinar? I was on it on Monday and I've just seen someone else. And she was like, it's really similar. And sometimes people think people are copying you, but they're not. They're just talking about pricing
Yeah.
or, boundaries or whatever for you. And anyway, I got hold of it and I was just about to do a live webinar. So I said to Aidan, would you mind just watching the two like on headphones? He'd obviously heard me practicing mine and doing mine, so he knew mine like pretty much word for word. And we lived in a tiny flat, so we were both in the front room, and he just looked at me while I was delivering and he just sort of shook his head. He was like, this is yours.
Oh,
So
no.
that was the fastest it's ever
But that's
happened.
also what's really hard about that one is that was like when it was your baby. Like
It
you'd only
was,
done it
yeah.
2 or 3 times. You'd worked so hard on it. That'd
Yeah,
be
it's
more nerve wracking than if someone copied you now when you've done it like thousands of times.
Yeah, and now when you've done like I've done it now to 20,000 people, so like anyone who replicates like a bit of it or a phrase that I use, like her down the road's like a big phrase that I use in pricing.
Yeah.
Um, so many people attribute that to me that as soon as that comes up anywhere else, people go, it's a bit like rockstar clients. They'll just
Mm,
go, that's Maddi.
yeah.
Whereas when something's new for you, the concert, I think that back to your point of the fear is, what if someone sees hers and then thinks I'm copying
Yeah.
when obviously you know that you put all
Yes.
this kind of work into it, and that's the thing that you don't want to, you don't want to be the seen as a person who's copying when that's like not your sort of style. um and yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I've had various other bits and bobs copied. Literally before we hit record on this, I got a DM saying someone's
Oh,
copied
no.
your content from yesterday. It's been copied less than 24 hours later.
Wow.
And the sad thing is that now in this world, it's usually ex-students or ex-clients, which is
Yeah.
tricky for other reasons. But
Yeah.
I would love to know from your perspective, as the brains of this operation, Hayley, why do you're the brains and the brawn? Why do people feel compelled to copy, and also why do you think it feels so shitty when it happens to be on the receiving end?
Oh, it's so awful, isn't it? I think people copy other people for strange reasons, really. I think some people do it when they've not really got a strong sense of their own identity.
Hmm.
When they're maybe a little bit underconfident, and maybe they're like, I want to wear I'd really like to get loads of tattoos and be bold. And then when they see someone like you, they're like, oh, I'm going to do it. And instead of doing it in their own way, they do it like you,
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they've not quite found their sense of style. And I think when you're looking around for your sense of style or your branding, and you're really unsure of what you want it to be like, I think you can fall into copying other people.
Yeah.
And so I think it's sometimes about not having a strong sense of personal identity around your, how you dress, your business, not being clear on who you are and what you want to do. I think that sometimes though people don't know they're doing it.
Yeah.
They're looking around for inspiration and they absorb things and then it comes out and they think it's theirs. I
Yeah.
think genuinely some people don't think that they're copying you. They've just kind of absorbed it. And I
Yeah.
think we're all getting inspiration from everywhere. I'm doing it, you're doing it.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
paying attention to what's going on. But if you find inspiration, it's always got to come from your voice then, hasn't it? It's got to go through the filter of Hayley or Maddi or
Yeah.
whatever and come out in really a completely different way. But I really think it's about not knowing that you're doing it and being unsure. But I also think people sometimes copy people to impress people.
Like to
Like let's
impress the
imagine that girl with the,
person. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
like let's imagine that girl in the office. She just wanted to impress you by getting tattoos like you. You can see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't feel great, but
Yeah.
I think sometimes people do it to get close to people that they want to be friends with or they admire.
Yeah.
And they do it in a clumsy way to get close to someone. I mean, it actually pushes them away. But I think sometimes we do it to impress people or to get closer to them.
Yeah, I think I can
But
kind of
yeah,
tell. Like, there's been a couple where one came to mind where someone was kind of using a lot of the phrasing that I use, and when I looked at it, she wasn't like selling anything. She wasn't doing like trying to kind of do what I do, like coaching or education. It was just how she was speaking to her clients. And I thought, do you know what? That falls into that category of like she's absorbed it. Obviously, we teach in a way that for people to understand it really easy. So a lot of that is like metaphors or
yeah,
storytelling or phrases that are just really easy to, like for you, secret deal and, things like this.
yeah,
Okay, I'll kick it down the road. So, and sometimes that
I
can
love
get like
that.
absorbed and repeated. So I am, although sometimes people send me something and go, oh, this person's saying this. When I look at it, I try and be really objective and I think, do you know what? I think that they've just learnt it. They've now got a phrase for that. They've got words for it and that's how they're describing it. Like, that's fine. That's okay. And also I think we've got to reconcile, like if we have a mission or a message, like which we both do, we kind of want people to be sharing that,
Yeah,
as far and wide. Like, I want people to be telling their other colleagues and friends in the industry about, deserving to charge more and not comparing to her down the road. So I can't be mad if someone says that. It's when it becomes like an IP issue and they're like, I'm going to literally take your intellectual property and pass it off as mine, and I'm going to maybe do that
yeah,
to get paid. That's where I sort of have a bit of a
yes,
problem.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I
and I
think it's so
think, yeah,
interesting that what we've been talking about, how it's so much more worrying when you've just written it as opposed to
yeah,
when it's 5 years old,
yeah, yeah,
because there's
yeah,
so much more evidence it's yours. But imagine if you just had this brilliant idea or you've just decorated a salon really differently and someone
yeah.
copies it straight away, that there's more chance for blurriness, isn't there?
Yeah, because
Of
it's like, who did it first
who
if
did
it's
it
so close
first and
together? I
I think
that's a
that's
feeling. It's
awful.
like a, sort of feeling.
Oh, but I think there is a panic, and there's a panic that people will think you're copying them, but there's also this panic that you're going to lose something.
Yeah,
I think that's what it is.
yeah. Oh, yeah, like,
Whether it be revenue, money,
yeah.
but when people just copy your style, it can feel a little bit invasive, can't it? Like you're
Well, it's
losing your sense
yours.
of self,
Yeah, yeah,
particularly
yeah.
if you're someone who likes to think of themselves as being a bit more individual and doesn't like to look like everybody else. When someone does that, it's like it takes away that individuality and
Yeah,
it
that
just
makes
doesn't
perfect
feel
sense. Yeah.
nice,
It just feels like a loss of a loss or a potential loss is like how it sort of what it boils
Yeah.
down to. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's about loss.
Yeah, and I wanted to kind of think about how often there will be people who do the same type of thing as you, and we can't, you can't just be the one person on earth who talks about this particular thing.
Yeah,
And I
I
think
can't
we
own mental
model
health.
this. Yeah, like you don't. I don't have. Although people might argue that we are the gaffer on these things, um, but it's like I think that we can sort of reconcile that pretty well. So, for example, we both do like we have a crossover in boundaries. Like that's the bit where we
Yeah.
cross over a bit. But for me, it's more, I guess, the policy side. For yours, it's more the sort of mental health side. So I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about how we navigate that.
hmm
Um, one sec.
And we navigated pretty well.
We navigate it really
You
well.
know, I think we had, I think in the true style of me and you, Maddie, when we first met, when we got to know each other pretty well, because we
Yeah,
were friends at first, but,
yeah, yeah.
we didn't know each other really well. But I think
Mm,
when we started to be like, we're mates now, we talk a lot, we're
yeah,
talking about our businesses.
mm,
And we're both like had buckets of therapy and are
yeah,
very upfront people. And I think we knew that about each other. We had a conversation one day, didn't we? Like, let's talk about
yeah,
this so it's not weird.
yeah. And that's, I mean,
Let's
that's such
talk
a
about the
key.
facts
Yeah.
that our business overlaps and how are we going to navigate that so our friendship doesn't go weird.
Yes,
I
and I
literally
mean
remember
that's tip number
having
one.
this conversation.
It's
Yeah.
like address it and have a conversation, and we can make this work.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like it. I see so many people like my feelings about like phrases. I know you feel the same. Where there's like these phrases that are bandied about, and sometimes I'm like, oh, could we have some nuance or um. And one of them
Mm,
is the kind of collaboration over competition. I think a lot of
yeah.
people say that, but I don't think a lot of people live that. And I think we really
Yeah.
try hard to embody that.
Yeah.
And I mean, for example, we literally work together. So we do this podcast
hmm
together.
hmm
You are a program coach in Breakthrough. We've
hmm
got People Pleaser to Powerhouse, our in-person
Yeah, we
workshop.
wrote a workshop together.
Yeah, so we kind of came together and thought, how can we bring our two approaches and like the way that we approach this particular topic and actually make something really rounded and like a 360 thing for our people.
Yeah.
Um, and we also, a thing that we do, and we made this decision in this conversation, didn't we, right at the beginning, was we actually don't take part in each other's programs, like as in as a
No.
learner. Do you want to speak about
Yeah.
why we
I've
did
not
that?
watched your.
Like,
Yeah, because you've got a boundaries course.
yeah,
I've got a boundaries course. And I think that's the main one that we sort of, we
yeah,
don't watch where we cross over.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And the reason being is what we talked about earlier. Sometimes people don't know they're copying,
Yeah.
and what happens is I'm obsessed with boundaries and I'm always learning about it and different ways to say it. And
Mm-hmm.
my worst fear would be that I watched your boundaries course, thought that was great, and next thing I don't even know I'm doing it. I think I've got this new, and I start saying something in the way that you said it.
Yeah.
And I think that would be awful for us.
Yeah. So we were just like, I'll not do burnout boundaries. You don't do bossy boundaries, and we've to this day like
Yeah.
never done it. Um,
No, and that's our crossover, isn't it? Because you do other stuff like Elevate.
yeah,
That's not
yeah,
my area. I
yeah.
could watch
You could go
that.
on
It would
that,
make no. I'd
absolutely
just be
fine.
like, "This is great,"
Yeah,
and you could do my leadership course. It'd make no difference to your world, but
yeah,
it's that thing, isn't it? Where we cross over. I think we're mindful, Maddie, aren't we? And I
yeah.
think what I really like about us is that we're really openly mindful about it,
Hmm.
and I think that's what helps us never have those little icky feelings,
Yeah, yeah,
because we're so upfront about it.
yeah,
But we also used it to our advantage, which I think is great. We're like, we cross over here, but I fill out this side and you fill out that side.
mm,
Let's do something where people get even more,
yeah,
because when they get us together, they get a more well-rounded version of the topic. So
yeah.
I think we did good.
I think we did really good.
I think I really like as well. Sometimes I get notifications and it'll say, Maddie mentioned you in Bosch Your Salon group, and I'll
Yeah,
go and look at it. And it always makes me smile because someone will have asked you a question
yeah,
and you'll answer them by saying, my friend Hayley would say this.
yeah.
Instead of just saying, here's the
Here's the
answer,
answer. Yeah,
you're like, I want you to know where I got this answer from.
yeah,
which is so lovely. When I see that, I'm like, that's nice, Maddi.
Yeah,
And
like,
and I do that a lot. I send,
yeah,
if people ask me pricing questions, I know nothing about pricing. But
yeah,
when I'm teaching burnout and boundaries, we have to talk about getting your prices right, which is not my area. And I just literally in my course say, go and do Boss Your Profits.
yeah,
Like, go and do it. I send them over there. I don't try and learn about it. I'm just
yeah.
like, not my area.
Yeah, it's
Maddie's
the
the
same.
queen.
It's the same with me for leadership. I'm just like, leadership is just not my strong area at all. Go and see Haley. So I think we do really well with signposting, rather than going, oh, someone wants this and I could make a thing for this. We just go to the person who does this already, like, really well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we attribute each other. Do you know what I love as well is when you coach in breakthrough, and I'm not in those calls, but I obviously kind of watch them back. And I love when you go, Maddie would say this. So you do it like in breakthrough, and you go, Maddie's probably already told you this, but this is my, my sort of mental health perspective. So I love that. Like, I think we know each other so well, of like how it's almost like a what would Haley do, what would Maddie do. We can think of that, but also like attribute it rather than passing it off as our own. I would just feel so weird doing that.
I think we've got so much more to gain, haven't we, by staying in our lanes and working together, than me suddenly starting going, well, if I started teaching pricing, my course would be well rounded. It's like, no, let's not get weird.
And I really, and if anyone's listening thinking, oh, I want to talk about the things or share the sort of message that we share, but like, how do we do this like in a sort of ethical way? I have a lot of educators who, like, I have a referral code for the masterclass with the calculator. So I just have educators saying, can I just send people to you? Or can I do like a kind of very top level, but I'll send them over to you. And I'm so appreciative of that, because it's like they've done that course or that, that program, and they've just been like, I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to like reinvent the wheel. I'm going to introduce you to it and then go, this is the person who's been doing this for years and like knows what they're talking about. So that's always a very nice thing to have done. I was going to say,
exactly what I do in Burnout and Boundaries, isn't it? I just go, here's a code, go see Maddi.
Go see Maddi. She'll deal with this. I was about to tell you this the other day. So obviously Aidan, he is a lot of the voice note shenanigans as I'm pottering around the house listening. So he knows all of your voices. and he went, you've started saying a Haley phrase, and I go, exactly this. That's to you. I've absorbed it. So I hope I'm not a copycat. It's just a phrase.
Exactly this. I do say like, that. I
took Kick It Down the Road. I'd never really heard that until I spoke to you. And I thought,
Kick It Down the Road is my favourite. I kick a lot of things down the road. Viv says that I say, that's really smart. That's really smart. When someone has a good idea, I go, that's really smart.
That's really smart,
and she started saying that.
It's so funny, isn't it, how you do just like pick up, but it's because we hear each other's voice so much, I think, so it's like the intonation and stuff. Yeah, that's really cute.
Yeah, but I think that's a good example of like wanting to get close to someone, or when you are close to someone, you do just sometimes absorb what they say, and often because you think it's funny or it makes loads of sense to you, it feels like a powerful phrase. Exactly that.
Exactly that. It's like a little in phrase, isn't it? Exactly that.
Yeah. But I think that's what happens between friends as well. You do sometimes adopt. It becomes a thing in your group.
It's like a mannerism, isn't it? Yeah. Because you just spend so much time together. So don't cancel funny, me for copying. But I didn't even notice it, and then Aidan was like, "You're saying that quite a lot." Exactly that.
It's funny, isn't it? Though, but I think you don't even know you've got like phrases sometimes until that.
I think someone says, do you remember there was a period in our voice note? I think it's really quite early for me joining the group chat, and everyone started commenting on other people's things that they did and said. I was like, oh, this is too much observation for me. That was so funny.
I know, we should tell people who don't know who's in our group chat.
Oh yeah.
Because they'll be like, who are these other people?
The mysterious group chat.
Yeah, we have a group chat, and so it's Emma Fowler, who teaches colour, is in our group chat, and Vivian Johns, the Hairdresser Social Club.
Yeah,
that's our group chat.
I love it.
Yes,
and Aidan's an extension of it, as are probably Viv and Emma's fam. Sometimes we get to speak to the kids in the background as well.
Yes,
I love hearing
yes.
you talk to Matilda. Very
Oh, I
cute.
know. Matilda, Emma's daughter, really likes my voice.
Oh, yeah.
And so, which is just
So
entertaining. And so
you'll give her
sometimes I
a.
just talk directly to her. Emma says she gets excited when she hears me. I love that.
Oh, that's so
She was
cute.
so
But
confused when she met me in person.
oh yeah, was that you? You live in the
She was
phone.
like, it's the voice from the phone. Yeah, it's
Yeah, I
funny.
remember.
It's funny.
I remember Aidan once saw. I can't remember which of you it was on stories, and he was like, "Oh, it's really weird to see them." Like, because he must have
Oh,
this.
yeah, I just hear their
Like,
voice.
yeah, like to put a face to a name. He's just heard Dolly voices all the time.
That's so funny. So let's go back to copycatting. We
Yeah.
digress in the ADHD style that we have.
Yes.
I think let's talk about how it has felt,
Hmm.
how it's really felt for us. And I think, you know, like no one's copied my business yet, and I'm waiting for it, and I don't think it's going to feel great because mental health is becoming so much more talked about. I think it
Yeah.
was new to the industry when I started talking about it, but we're like 4 or 5 years in now. I can't think,
Yeah.
maybe 4 years in. It's becoming much more popular. You know,
Hmm.
obviously there's the Head Up campaign that I'm doing
Yeah.
with L'Oreal, which is global. So
Hmm.
it's going to become much more of a thing. So I feel like I'm trying to mentally prepare
Brace
myself for
yourself. Yeah.
someone copying me. But I mean, I just think when someone buys the same trainers as me, I feel offended and raging. So I literally can't think about how it would feel for you when someone copied your business and your stuff. Like, how did it feel, Maddie? What happened?
So there's like a sort of roller coaster. I think at first I was like raging because it feels really unjust, and it feels, I think the sort of neurodiverse in me was like, this just is deeply unfair. And especially like you
Yeah,
say, when it was my webinar, when I'd put so much work into that. It was in the pandemic. I mean, anyone who's, I mean, my webinar's like 2 hours long. It's heaps of sort of blood, sweat, and tears that went into it. So it just
hmm,
felt like someone's taken that and taken all the sort of hard work that goes in behind the scenes and in the run up and just went, I'm just going to copy it. That's a bit that feels like
yeah,
unfair, is that before a thing becomes created, in like a sort of IP sense, there is so much behind the scenes to that. And that's what it feels like they're taking, that they've taken from you. It's not just like I've copied your slides or I've copied your program or course or whatever. Um, my ego was just absolutely off the charts. Like I could just feel that I was consumed by it. The
yeah.
webinar one was the first big one that I had, and it really took so much of my energy. Um, I remember speaking to my coach at the time, Josh, and he he said a couple of very poignant things. First thing he said is this if this has happened so quickly, is this the first time, and will this be the last time? And I was like, probably
Mm.
not. So it was basically like, this is part of doing business, so you'd need to handle it. And then he said, how would you feel if no one ever copied you? And I was like, ooh,
Ooh,
yeah, that's a good one. I was like, oh,
wounding.
yeah, I know. I thought that would be good. And he's like, well, yeah. So, and I guess it's the whole, it's flattery, but the way that he worded, like, really is like how I had to hear it.
I'm going to
So
really have to think about that. How will I feel if no one ever copies me?
yeah,
I'm going to have to process that and have a really good think about
that's
it.
yeah, that's
I think
a
there's
good
some
one
good
to
stuff
ponder
on the
on.
other side of that question.
Yes, very
Yeah, I'm
much.
going to nick it and attribute that to Josh.
Yeah, shout out to Josh, by the way. Um, and then from the sort of therapy vibes, I just kind of checked with like what's in my control, because what is the point in raging
Yeah,
about? Like you can't stop people from doing that. Like there's legal action, and I have taken legal action against people when it is
yeah.
like blatant breach of IP. But I think if you are an innovator, like a natural innovator, and you are coming up with this stuff, and you keep coming up with stuff, and you're very authentic. So those two things are really important to me, like innovation, integrity, authenticity. Um, they just will never ever catch up, and I've never ever had one catch up. I've had people where they've tried a bit and fizzled out. I've had some a little bit more persistent, but also by the time something of mine comes to sort of creation, I'm probably working on my second or third thing after that, because of just
Hmm.
how I work and how things kind of exist in my pipeline, in my head, and in my business. So and people can copy the output, but they don't understand the strategy. And,
Yeah.
everything I do in business has a reason behind it, a strategy behind it. So all they can do is be on the back foot and start copying things. And, but it just doesn't work. It never sticks. And I think what I think is that it looks quite obvious when someone's operating from a place of real like passion and being obsessed with their topic, and getting the soapbox out and getting really excited to talk about their thing, and speaking on panels and speaking live and answering questions and Q&As. That's what separates the people who like know their shit and really care about it, to someone who you can kind of see as like reading some notes, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The passion disappears. And I think actually for the viewer, that is really obvious.
I think that there's a personal story behind what I teach and what you teach.
Yeah.
There's a lot of life experience that has gone into these courses. And it's so interesting. I was talking to my friend Daniel Mason-Jones the other day, who is the guy who's my partner on Head Up. And he teaches leadership, salon ownership, business, all sorts of things. And we had this really interesting conversation where we both realised we both teach something that we were once really bad at.
Yeah, same, like pricing.
That's the
terrible.
thing. We were terrible at it. We did.
And I just think you can tell when people really give a shit about the people, and especially with the people that they're working with. Like I think I can spot a mile off someone who's going, this looks like easy money, versus this is like a burning mission inside of me that I need to share with as many people as possible. Like, and that's it. And I think if you're on that side, if you're a creative person, if you're innovative, and this is why I really emphasize to people to be authentic, especially on social media, and show themselves. Because if you do get copied and you've never shown your face, you've never spoken, that is going to be hard to discern from like an outside perspective. Whereas I get people, this is awful, but people say like, so and so's like Maddi from Wish. Like when you order Maddi from Wish, and, like, do you know what I mean? And that's what it kind of feels like. So just keep being you, and keep doing things that you love doing and that you really deeply care about, and it won't matter. Those people will not be around, in a few months to come.
I think we've noticed that within our group, me, you, Emma, Viv, we've seen people who seem like they're copying any of us at any given time, and none of it's lasted.
And all of us, sometimes
none of us are
it's
still
like
worried about it.
Yeah, sometimes they're like, I do a bit
None
of
of us are
prices,
still worried about any of those people.
No.
Yeah,
no.
we're not.
No, not at all.
It's
There's
never
sometimes
lasted,
ones
has it?
that I even forget about, and then I go, oh, what happened to such a person? But at the time, you're like, oh God, this person's copying me. But yeah, they just come and they go, and they move on to something else, or they move on to another business model, or the next mentor's version of things. They'll just tend to follow a new thing and move on.
And I think if I was going to be kind, think about this, they're looking for their thing.
Yeah, they're just a bit lost.
They're looking for their thing and they've not found it. When people are moving from subject to subject, they're looking for the thing that sticks, that's theirs.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. You're very diplomatic, Hayley, more than me.
I try so hard.
You are. I'm just like
to find the empathy when people are doing things that I don't love. I try and think what their motivation is, and if I was going to think the best, what's happening?
Yeah, how can we be generous with our intention? Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah, and I think sometimes people are just looking to move direction, aren't they? And they're trying things on.
Yeah,
and they
just don't try on the same trainers as you.
Literally
This'll be
don't.
hell on.
Don't do it. I know. I feel like I'm moving away from trainers because everyone's wearing trainers now.
Yeah. Well, I was a short-lived croc influencer but that was good though. I was
I
buzzing
know.
that so many people got into
Do you
croc.
know what? I was just thinking about you in Crocs the other day. I just thought I've not seen Maddi. Have we moved on?
So I'll tell you what the problem is there, Hayley. Since I've had my colour analysis, is very few of my crocs are my colour. I've got some camo ones, which will
Right.
be okay, but the rest of them are so. I've got like pink glittery ones, tie-dye ones, lilac ones. So if anyone's a size
Yeah.
8, UK size 8 and wants some crocs, let me know.
Maybe you need to sell a job lot.
I
You
need
know
to
who
get
wear
on
them?
with it. I
Emma's the same
know.
size as you.
Is
She'd
she?
love it.
Oh,
Yeah,
Solid
Emma's at
International. I'm
8.
bringing
Send her a
a
Crocs gift pack.
I'm bringing a bucket of used crocs down, my gift.
She'd be so
Um,
thrilled, wouldn't she?
so I do wear them sometimes, but honestly, people get pissed off if I come to an event. The first thing people look at is my shoes and like, why not wearing Crocs? Like they're mad.
Yeah. You're
um,
like, I'm into Gucci loafers now,
I
folks.
know. Well, when I got the Gucci loafers, I was like, these are so expensive. I am never, ever, ever taking them off. So I
Yeah, I'm
live in
going to
those
wear
now.
these till they fall off my feet.
And then I got into Hoka running shoes. I don't run, but they are the comfiest trainers ever. They're
Have you got the
absolutely
right
amazing.
colours?
Well, mine were white, but now they're very much not white. And off-white is my colour, so maybe that works. But I have been
That'll be
dabbling
fine.
in. They've got some nice sort of peachy colour ones I've had my eye on. So, but I can recommend. I just love a
So you're
comfy
moving
trainer.
away from Crocs.
I know. I'm sorry,
Moving
guys.
away from Crocs, Maddi.
It's hard to admit
It was
this.
a wild ride, the Crocs. I mean, you were all in. That was a long hyper-focus.
That was really long. I'm still in TikTok garlic bread. I had Aidan's on holiday at the moment. I said at the gym, I feel like I'm in Home Alone because I keep forgetting. I forgot that it was bin day. I keep forgetting to set my alarm because I just don't do that. That's an Aidan thing. I had to wash up yesterday, Hayley, and I was traumatised.
Wow.
And then today,
Yeah.
3 maintenance men knocked on to say they're going to jump over my neighbour's fence. I thought, this feels very Home Alone. Like, I'm going to have to put some marbles down the stairs. And
I'm not sure I'm safe.
No, and all I've eaten is protein yogurt, TikTok garlic bread. I had 3 the other day. Toast, our favourite. So I need Aidan to come back and feed me properly.
Yeah, do the adulting.
Exactly. So I'm very appreciative of him because I realise actually that he just follows me around and sorts my life out. I have a feeling you've got a shameless plug, Hayley Jepson.
Oh, I totally have.
Go on.
I have totally got a shameless plug,
Go
people. And so on the 14th of November at 7:30, I'm doing a free webinar called From Snowed Under to Slaying It. And it's all about how not to burn out in the Christmas season. It's free, it's about an hour long, and it's live. And so you can go sign up for that now. The link is in my bio on Instagram, and it's going to be in the show notes of this episode. And so get signed up and come and get some free education around burnout.
Yay, we love a Christmas freebie.
Yeah.
A Christmas gift.
14th of November.
I'm going to come along and I'm going to copy it and then make it do it the day after. Please don't tell anyone do that. Lush. It's a great masterclass. That'll be really good.
It's good. I ran it last year for the first time and I think, I'm going to do it again. It's great. I think I'm doing it a little bit earlier this year. It's going to be mid-November, but it works even if you're already fully booked. Because the thing is, when I was hairdressing, I was fully booked for Christmas from October. And so I would sometimes think, this won't work for me because I'm already fully booked. There's nothing I can do. But it absolutely is. This workshop is designed for people who are already, if you're already fully booked with no wiggle room and you think, what am I going to do? This workshop's for you.
Amazing. I always love your workshops. It'll be lush. Thank you.
Thank you. It's going to be fun. Let's do hyperfocus.
So
what have you got?
I have a funny one. I was driving Aidan to the airport and he was looking through my Apple Music because I said I'll put some music on, and he was just creased because he's like, you listen to the same music from when you were 16, like my gym playlist has got like Arctic Monkeys on it. So he's like, this is from like 2008. I'm like, but I love it. And he's really into new music, so I just kind of wait till he tells me who to listen to. And I really love country music, like bluegrass, like very sad sort of stuff like that. Well, I've got a recommendation for you, Hayley. There's a guy called Zach Bryan, like a youngish guy. I think he's from Oklahoma. and I've put his Essentials on, and it will be in my Apple Music top one. It's the new Hamilton soundtrack for me. But I think you'll get this reference because you watch Parks and Rec, don't you?
Yes, I love
Yeah.
it.
Do you remember the character played by Bo Burnham? And he's the country and western young guy singer they're trying to get to the festival. And he has a song and it's called like Beautiful Like My Mom brackets support the troops or something like that. And he sings it and he's like,
I don't remember.
He's like, bring them home, boys. And I every time I listen to him, I kind of laugh because I think this is the same person, but amazing. Some very good bops. I'm already like learning the words. It's ingrained in my head. So I'm in the Zach Bryan hype this week.
Oh, that's good. I'm going
Yeah.
to get on that. I do love a bit of country.
I do. So
When I
good.
checked into a hotel the other day when I was working, and they had smooth country on in the room when I walked in, I was like, winning.
Yes.
So much fun. My hyper focus is it's really a follow on from what I've been obsessing about for the past few weeks, which is, it's a lead on from I got an autumn. I'm an autumn in my colouring like you.
Yeah.
I got obsessed with makeup in general.
Yeah.
I got very TikToky, following everyone, buying all sorts of random stuff on TikTok that didn't pan out very well. And then I discovered House Labs, which is Lady Gaga's makeup range.
Nice.
And I got fully obsessed with it because I couldn't get hold of it. This was the problem. It's only in Sephora, and Sephora is only in London. It's not in Manchester where I live. So I ordered it online. I got the wrong colour, but that made me even more determined to get it. And so I've got an update.
Oh, yeah.
I was working recently in London and they had a Sephora nearby. And so I carved myself out an hour to get to Sephora, and I hit the House Labs stand hard. I bought everything. I was like rubbing the foundations on, trying to get the right colour. And then I thought, might as well get the concealer while I'm here. I'm going to try these lipsticks. And so I bought a big bag of House Labs, and I think it's brilliant. And I'm totally obsessed.
And you've got it on now?
I've got it on now. If you're on YouTube, you can see. Look at the glow.
I feel like we should get paid for these things, by the way.
I was thinking if Lady Gaga would like to sponsor us, we'd be really open to that.
Yeah, just if anyone's people can speak to our people.
That'd be brilliant.
I want to give a hyperfocus shout out actually to our wonderful friend and client Kim D, who her and her husband were listening to the episode where we talked about air fryers, and great guy decided to go for the big doubler.
Yes.
So consider yourself influenced. Please tell us if you tap into any of our hyper focuses. We want to see what yours are as well, because we want to not feel mad for having new focuses every week. But I love that.
I also like to be inspired.
Well, now I'm going to need this makeup. So when I go to Salon International, I'm sacking it off. I'm going to Sephora. Yeah. Get a whole new face.
I did the quiz and I didn't do very well. I was one shade out, but it made a massive difference.
That's it. It's got to be, especially when we're fair. You can't have a shade out.
No, because I looked like a goth. I looked like my younger self.
Like past lives us. Haley, it's been a pleasure, and I'm glad that we could talk about that and not lose our rag. So well done us.
Yes, I think we're very level. Very level. We'll see what happens when someone copies my business. I might not be so level.
Someone's going to do a podcast called Tea Isn't Brunch, and then they'll go,
Coming soon.
Coming soon. I know. Sideline. Right, matey. I will see you next week.
It's been fun.
All right. See you
next
in a bit.
week.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments.
Please support those who support us, and check out Timely, who we recommend as our favourite booking system for you. New customers can get 50% off their first 3 months with the code COFFEE50.